everybody. For the fourth time today, I'm with you live. This is a first ever thing in my life of doing sports talk. First time I ever got paid to talk sports was 1999. And for the first time in 26 years, I'm doing 4 shows in one day. We started right here in the bullpen at 9 o'clock this morning, the WCSS today, and now back to recap the first round of the draft. I was going to come on at the end, decided to jump on a little early here. We are to the last pick in the draft, or the second to last pick in the draft. There was a trade. This is a weird one. The Chiefs just traded up from 32 to 31, gave up the 164 pick in the draft. I don't know why. Why would they have to move up one spot? That seems like an odd move. But anyway, Chiefs traded up or the Eagles traded up to get ahead of the Chiefs. The 2 Super Bowl teams making a trade with each other. And we'll let you know who the last 2 picks of the first round are. I assume the Browns at this point are not going to trade back into the first round. There have been a handful of trades, and it all started with the Browns, folks. We'll get into all of it here in the bullpen with Adam the Bull. Brought to you by Bet Rivers, of course. See the Bet Rivers logo on the top there, in the bottom corner as well. You see right there, the Browns starting the day with the blockbuster trade. The Browns traded down from 2 to 5 with the Jacksonville Jaguars. In return for dropping those 3 spots, the Browns got the 36th pick in this draft, which will be the 4th pick tomorrow. So the Browns will have picks 1 and 4 tomorrow. And they got a 2026 first-round pick, which was the main reason they made this deal. They also dropped from 104 to 126 in this draft. That's not much. So to drop from 2 to 5 and 104 to 126, the Browns got the 4th pick in the second round this year and a first-round pick from the Jaguars next year. So before we get into what the Browns did at 5, let's digest this trade. In terms of the assets they were able to get, they did get a lot. Usually, if you trade from 5 to 2, you're not going to get a first-round pick. In this case, they did. I'm a little surprised Jacksonville made this trade, but they felt like most of us felt that Travis Hunter was a once-in-a-lifetime player. And after a month of thinking the Browns were going to get this game-changing, potentially franchise-changing two-way player, unfortunately, the Browns don't go in that direction. They trade down. Now, it's hard because the Browns got a first-round pick next year. That'll give them 2 first-round picks next year. The Browns are probably going to be bad. The Jaguars, who knows? Depends how well Trevor Lawrence plays this year, but they've got Travis Hunter. They've got a lot of skill position talent on offense. Could they be a playoff team in an AFC South that's not great? Sure. Could they be a top 10 picking team? Sure. Could the Browns end up with 2 top 10 picks next year? I think that's entirely possible. Obviously, they decided none of these quarterbacks were worth taking. Once they made this trade, I'm assuming now they will not draft a quarterback in the second round. Everything we thought we know we don't. That's why, I say all the time, take everything with a grain of salt, and then I didn't listen to it. The Browns were talking way too much, and Andrew Berry was talking way too much about Travis Hunter. And we all convinced ourselves that that's because they were going to take Travis Hunter, and that was never really the case. They were looking to move down. They were looking for an offer of a first-round pick. They got it. This is all about getting a quarterback next year. The Browns are not trying to win next year. They don't care about winning. The players care. The coach may care. The organization is not winning is not a priority in 2026. It's not. I'm sorry, 2025. I don't know if it will be in 2026. They want to get a quarterback next year. They're looking ahead, and they think there's good quarterbacks in the draft. We'll see. Every year we think the next year's got the better draft. Maybe there will be good quarterbacks next year. Maybe they won't. Maybe there'll be 1 or 2, and the Browns can't get that high in the draft, even with two top 10 picks. Time will tell. But for now, even though in terms of the value of the picks, they did well for themselves, I still hate it in the moment. It doesn't, again, we won't know the result of this trade and what the Browns did, taking Mason Graham, the defensive tackle and 2-time All-American from Michigan, as opposed to taking Travis Hunter. Time will tell if this will work out. If Mason Graham ends up being a very good player and the Browns are able to use the Jags first-round pick next year to help get a quarterback and the 36th pick in this year's draft to get another good starter, even if Travis Hunter's great, it would have been worth it to make the trade. But if they don't get a quarterback with those 2 first-round picks they now have, and even if Graham's really good, if they don't get a quarterback, it wasn't worth it because Travis Hunter is probably going to be an extremely special player, and that's why this is really disappointing. Because you get your heart set on the team drafting a player, and then it doesn't happen. So I get why a lot of fans are mad. I'm kind of bummed out at this point from a elite talent standpoint. They didn't get the best talent they could have. Also, from just a selfish, and a lot of us feel this way, excitement level. Travis Hunter is more exciting. He is a more highly regarded player than Mason Graham. He is, and he would have created, and he's an offensive player, and the Browns' offense stinks. I mean, let's face it. On paper, the Browns' offense is the worst in the league. They have, they did not have a good quarterback situation. They did not have a good running back situation. They did not have a good wide receiver situation. They have a mediocre tight end situation, a mediocre offensive line situation. You see the top 8 picks in the draft. When the Browns dropped down to 5, I know a lot of guys I was talking with earlier, of course, if they had taken Ashton Jenney, who went 6 to Vegas, or Tet McMillan, who went 8 to Carolina, I think we would have felt better about the trade. And it's no slight at Mason Graham. Listen, he may end up being a great player. He may end up being the next, sensational pass rusher, pass rushing defensive tackle. He may end up being a great player. It just doesn't get you excited. And on paper, in the moment, it's a huge bust, a huge disappointment. And that's without knowing how good Mason. It's all opinion right now. We have nothing to back anything up. We don't know how good Mason Graham's going to be. We don't know how good Travis Hunter's going to be. We don't know what they're going to do with all the draft picks they got in that deal. Well, they had the 36th pick and then the first-round pick next year. So the results of this trade and the decision to draft Mason Graham won't be decided until at least 2 years. You see some of the stats there. Only 9 sacks in his 3-year career. I don't love it. Not overly productive in terms of sacks. Obviously, he was a tackling machine. He's got, I know the complaint's been he has short arms. He's not huge for a defensive tackle. Very strong, good leader. First-team All-American, 2-time All-Big Ten. Defensive MVP of the Rose Bowl. 6'3.5", 296, 32 arm length, not great. 18 tackles for a loss. It's an average of 6 a year. Average of 3 sacks a year. Everybody seems to think this guy's a very, very good player. If you draft a defensive tackle at 5, he better be at the least a consistent Pro Bowler. Otherwise, the pick's going to be a waste. But beyond that, again, you passed up on a quarterback. Okay, we've only seen 2 quarterbacks go. Cam Ward obviously went 1, and then Jackson Dart went to the Giants. Giants traded up to get Jackson Dart. I'm not seeing I keep seeing okay, who did the Eagles take? How did I miss that? Okay. Jahad Campbell, linebacker from Alabama. Yeah, he was clearly a guy that people were looking at to be a little I know he was in the mix for the Bengals at 17. Bengals went defensive line. They took a player that has not been productive in terms of sacks at 17. Shamar Stewart at Texas A&M, highly regarded, intangibles through the ceiling, but the Bengals have not been good at developing defensive players. Most of their defensive draft picks have been bad the last couple of years, so we'll see. Who knows? But the trade and the selection of Mason Graham to pass up on the 3 top skill position players is a huge disappointment. Again, it doesn't mean it won't work out in the long term for the Browns, But for now, there's no doubt that most fans are feeling bummed about this. You're always going to have your percentage of apologists that they'll be okay with it because they're going to just give Andrew Berry the benefit of the doubt. I don't know how you could. I don't know what Andrew Berry has done to deserve the benefit of the doubt. Some people will. I put up a poll here. Grade the Browns first round. It's hard to say. A, B, C, or F are your choices. I'm going to give it a C. F got the most votes, followed by B. B and C are tied. 34% F, 28% B and C, 10% A. I know, a lot of people feel like the Browns got great value. And again, in the long term, this trade could turn out to be a absolute steal with all the picks they got, and it could turn into a trade that completely turns around the organization if it leads to a quarterback, the right quarterback. For now, it's a disappointment. I don't know how anybody doesn't see it any other way. Let's get some reaction from the folks on in the chat. Let's see. Divergent. I guarantee the Browns will take trade pick 33 if Sanders or Milroe are available because Andrew Berry is gutless. He'll always take the boring safe pick. And at 28, let's see. Evan419 says hashtag fire Berry. Lord Lazarus, the Browns are a joke. Evan419, you hope picks turn into elite prospects. So when you have two elite prospects staring you in the face, why not pass them up for more picks? Chris Bull, I feel tricked. How could they pass on Hunter? Wade says Sanders still on the board. Browns, let's get him. They're not going to draft him. The Browns are not drafting a quarterback at 33. Did the Chiefs make the final pick? No. All right, they're going to make the final pick. It's obviously not going to be a quarterback. But, yes, Shedeur Sanders, who at one point we were talking about as the second pick in the draft, is available for the Browns at 33. So is Jalen Milroe. So is Tyler Shuck. And, again, I obviously could be wrong. I'm convinced the Browns, once they made that trade down and then took a defensive lineman, this was all about 26. So I don't think they're going to use a high second-round pick on a quarterback when they told you that next year's when they're attacking quarterback. Oh, it seems like a good pick. They took Chiefs took Josh Simmons, offensive lineman from the Buckeyes, to end the first round. I know there were some people that were hoping the Browns would get him, take another big guy. So folks, I feel your disappointment. I will say with the caveat that in the long run, this could turn out to be great for the Browns. And I'm not saying, and Mason Graham may turn out to be a great player. But it's disappointing when you expected to get a superstar talent on offense, an offense that has very little talent. I mean, I think on paper, after the first round of the draft, the Browns may have the worst offense in football. Certainly bottom five, no doubt about it. Esco says, we'll spend the next 5-10 years comparing Graham to Carter or Hunter. This can't be life. GSS alternate history. Can someone explain why the Eagles traded up one spot with the Chiefs? That doesn't make any sense to me either. I don't know why that happened. Calvin thinks the Browns did an awesome job. He's given them benefit of the doubt, even though they haven't earned it. Now let's get the picks right. Esco says, when have we ever gotten the picks right? If you look at we went over this on UCSS, but I got to go over this again for those who were not watching. No. We if you look at the Browns draft picks under Andrew Berry, the offensive players, it is stunningly awful. And I feel like somebody needs to ask him about how awful he's done drafting. Here are the Browns' offensive draft picks under Andrew Berry. Jed Wills, bust. Harrison Bryant, nothing. Nick Harris, nothing. Donovan Peoples-Jones, nothing. Anthony Schwartz, bust. James Hudson, nothing. Demetric Felton, nothing. David Bell, nothing, bust. Cade York, nothing, bust. Jerome Ford, decent player, solid backup for the 5th round, good pick. Michael Woods, a 0. Dawson Deaton, never played in the league, 7th round pick. Cedric Tillman, so far looks like nothing. DeJuan Jones, solid pick if he can stay healthy. DTR, terrible. Luke Whippler's been hurt. Zach Zinter looked terrible as a rookie. Jamari Thrash showed nothing as a rookie. That's it. The Browns have done nothing. Now, to be fair, most of those picks are 4th round and later. All but one. All but 2 of them. No, all but one of them are 3rd round or later. So, yeah, you got to take it with a little grain of salt. But he has not drafted one viable offensive player. DeJuan Jones, who's showed good promise but been injured a lot in the last 2 years, is the best player he's drafted on offense in 5 years. And he took nobody in the 1st round this year. So it's hard to have a lot of faith that Andrew Berry, even though on paper the trade, the value of the draft picks is a good value, hard to believe he's going to get it right. We don't even know if there's everybody's like so convinced that there's going to be a great quarterback in next year's draft. Is there? Right now, there's not an obvious choice. Is Arch Manning a sure thing? I mean, I've heard some of the names. None of them really stand out at this point, like they're going to be a no-brainer. And even if they are, there's other teams that need quarterbacks too that might be picking high next year, could be picking ahead of the Browns. Let's see. Skilly. Imagine if Hunter wins the Defensive Rookie and Offensive Rookie of the Year award. Probably not going to happen. Could win one. Chris Bull, the Browns really hoping and praying on an unproven quarterback next draft? An unproven? Yeah, they're hoping. They did what they did today. Forget who they actually took in the draft. But they traded down because they're focused on getting a quarterback. They're convinced there's a quarterback next year. They have no idea if they're going to be drafting high enough to get that guy. And again, even if you have 2 first-round picks, yeah, you have trade ammunition. But if the teams ahead of you need quarterbacks, they're not going to trade out of that spot if the guy's that good. Dog B, tomorrow night, 4 picks in the 2nd and 3rd round is huge. Hold your emotions till then. Ronald Harper, need offensive playmaker at 5. 442 Steck. Bull, you like the Cindy pick? I don't know what that means. Alternate history, Browns take Josh Simmons at 33. Can't happen. He just went, obviously. Henderson at 36 seconds. What's that? Oh, Cincy pick. The guy was not productive in college to get the defensive lineman that the Bengals took. And the Bengals deserve no benefit of the doubt on defense. I talk about the Browns drafting poorly on offense. The Bengals have drafted poorly on defense. Since Logan Wilson, almost everybody they have drafted a lot of guys high on defense. Unlike the Browns, they've had high, 1st and 2nd round picks that they've used on defensive players, and they've mostly been busts. So Shamar Stewart, I know Mikey McNuggets told me he really likes him. He was a top recruit. He's got all the tangibles, right? The speed, the size, all these things. But he averaged. I think he had like 4.5 sacks as a defensive end. He's good against the run, but I'm not giving the Bengals the benefit of the doubt. He might be a good player. I'm kind of neutral on it. If anything, I don't particularly love the pick. Let's see. Parajat says, I don't think how much more time and energy I can put into the Browns. You will continue to put it into the Browns because you love them. Although, if you didn't care so much, you wouldn't be here and you'd just give up. But you care. That's why you're going to say, I can't do it. You can. Richard Cruz, stock loading up picks until Watson is gone. Also should have traded Miles. Esco, the Ravens took Malachi Starks. We won't sniff the playoffs anytime soon. Dog B, this shows us job security for next season is a lock. It feels that way right now. I think the way the Browns handled this draft, it leads you to believe that at least Andrew Berry believes he's got good job security. Whether that's actually true or not, we'll see. Ronald says, I would have been fine with Genty or McMillan. I agree. Kenneth, the Browns effed it up once again, and he's a piss-engine a-hole. Berry has to go. The team's a joke. Calvin is the one guy who loves this pick. He's a Browns truther. Says they got the best pick in their division. Well, they're the highest pick. I should hope they got the best pick. Chris says, I'm not even hating on Graham. Neither am I. It's just disappointing they took a defensive lineman. We all just thought something different. Esco, he better be better than Sue, or this is horrible. Dog B, all I know is Buckeyes couldn't run the ball up the middle last 2 years against him. That's true. Esco, you don't take run stuffers with a top 5 pick. Generally true. Tommy, taken at 5 with as many sacks in college career. Berry should be fired ASAP. Let Stefanski make the rest of the picks. MSPI Onage says, big win for us today. The Jags pick could easily be top 10 next season. Sure. It could. Again, I've said 7 times now, this could end up being a great move. In the moment, it's disappointing. I don't like it, but it could very well turn into a great move for the Browns. I would have been much happier if they would have traded down to 5 and took Tyler Warren, one of the tight ends, or Tet McMillan, or Ashton Genty. Divergent, what up, Bull? 2 bad trades, 1 bad pick, and guaranteed. The Browns did make another trade. If we could put that graphic up, guys. The Browns made a trade before the draft of some late-round picks. They traded 2 sixth-round picks and a 7th to the Texans for 5th-round pick in this year's draft and a 5th-round pick in the 2027 draft. It's an odd trade, but there you go. So the Browns had 10 picks to start the draft. They went down to 8 after this one, and then they added a pick, so they have 9 picks, 8 picks left, including 2 in the second round. So there you go. I think they have 1 in the third and 2 in the fourth. This trade was with the Texans, as you see. Let's see. Wasted time Chief. The new game feed Haslam your shit. I don't know what that means. Special gaming Sanders and an O-lineman. Chris Bull, did I wait 3 years for this draft? My head already hurts. Tom Van Cleve going to lose every game 20-3. Michael says, I'm so glad they passed on Hunter for pick 15 in next year's draft. Brian, we need offense. K Smooth, no quarterback's going to be good with this O-line. Ronald says, would you go OSU running back at 33 and Fannin at 36? I got no problem with them taking a running back at 33. Fannin seems too high from what I was told at 36, but I'm guessing. I honestly, I have no idea what they're going to do at this point. I thought I did. I bought into what I say don't buy into. I would guess they'll take 2 offensive players, but who knows? I'm convinced they're not going to draft a quarterback, but I was convinced they were going to draft Travis Hunter, so who knows? As Michael says, how can you even guess at this point? You can't. Gaming says, could we not get Chubb and not need to pick a running back? Yeah, I mean, Chubb is old at this point. I think he could have a year left in him, but I think the Browns should draft a running back. I would take a running back, even if it's not one of these 2 second-round picks. I'd take him in the 3rd round. But I was going to say I think they're going to draft a running back in the 2nd round, but it's just a guessing game. It really is. All right. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate you joining me tonight. And for those of you who watched all 4 shows I did, one with Dustin, one with I can't even remember now who was on all the shows. One with Tyvis and Jason, one with Jason, G, and Dustin, and then one to wrap it up solo by myself. I appreciate you all for joining me. You guys mean everything. It's really special to be doing this. I love doing my podcast. I love doing UCSS. I love that so many of you have, joined myself and the other guys from the radio station and moved on with us. And I really appreciate all the love and support. And it's been great. It's been a fun, amazing day. I'll be on UCSS tomorrow. I'll have some through Bet Rivers. I'll put out some videos on the Browns picks tomorrow. On Saturday afternoon, I'll have a Browns live Cavs postgame here. I'll also talk about the Browns day 2 picks. and maybe some of their day 3 picks when I join you after the Cavs game Saturday afternoon. And so thanks as always for joining me. Good job by Max and Z. They were with me early this morning for the show with Dustin, and they came back with me again tonight. We'll get done just before midnight here. Thanks again to everybody for joining me. I'll talk to you all tomorrow. And again, the live show following the Cavs right here in the bullpen on Saturday, probably, 3:30, 4 o'clock. We'll recap Cavs Game 3, Draft Day 2, and Draft Day 3, or what's in the books there for Draft Day 3. And we'll keep an eye, and then we'll see, if they can improve this just dreadful offense. I'll talk to you all soon. Love you. Have a good night. You've been listening to The Bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by Bet Rivers. See you, everybody.